shades down a little bit, speaking of shades, and so I could share with you this a beautiful, beautiful orchid. And you know, we joked about this orchid a few times. Now, if you're new to the channel, we share different things, from different little clips on different little places in Vermont to maybe some gardening tips, to me sharing and any update and tips on my finches. And I am going to share, I should have put it in the title, but I want to share, or maybe we'll do a whole nother video, but I will share a little bit of a tip with you on them, about what we talked about not too long ago, about using hand warmers to potentially add a little warmth to the cage. So I'll give you an update on that. Now this morning, so welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, jump on board. It's free. Whether you're a tourist going through Vermont, thinking about living in Vermont, or you do live in Vermont. So I've been here like half a century, and it's funny how I can just say that now, half a century. Oh my. So, quite some time, and long enough to pretty much be familiar with the whole state of Vermont. So at least most of it. I mean, some areas no, if I haven't been there. But I seem to have managed to cover now the Northeast Kingdom also. So that wasn't necessarily on the agenda, but so with that, this plant, this orchid, was gifted to me some time ago. Wait till you see what I'm going to share with you. So we very lovingly and jokingly and jest and whatnot named this orchid Lily. Because Lily, it's not a lily, but we gave her the name Lily, and we thought it was really funny, right? Now, what happened with her is that recently, in the last several months, so I mean, check this out. Let me turn her around first, because wait till you see. So look at the. I was joking with a family member that she looks like an alien. Look, those shoots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like a hand, doesn't it? So we did a little research right on this channel on like what does that mean? What's going on with this plant? Because in the middle of winter to suddenly grow all of those shoots. So what was happening, you see the little cage at the bottom there. That's just a little support system I put in place, and this is one of my little plant so kind of really like a plant deco ornament basically that I made. And this is all like fabric, and it's with non-toxic fabric glue, and I had just kind of put it around the little finial there, and to decorate it, but it's holding up this for the minute until I get her better support. So what I did with this plant is I added dirt there. Its roots were coming right up, right high up, like it was gonna cry, like every day, much like these shoots were just growing. And it kind of like was reaching for, like I'd wake up in the morning because I had moved it into my bedroom where it was warmest to keep it warm. So I'd wake up in the morning and these shoots had grown like another inch. It's a little weird. But what was happening is the plant was crying out for help. So basically these shoots will grow when it's trying to survive, number one, or it's stressed and it's trying to survive, or they will grow because it's very happy. Now, when I added the dirt almost the next day, I am not kidding you, there were buds on it. And I'm going to push this back a little bit because I want to show you the buds. And so this is another little wire I put up here just to hold that shoot. Okay. Check this out this morning. Now I have to tell you, as you know, but it's been like 0 and below 0. But look at Lily. Look. Look at her orchid. Look, she bloomed. And turn this so you can see. She bloomed this morning, you see? I'm trying to turn her so you can see. There. I just set her right here. This 1, 2, 3. What do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4. So she has 4 buds. And are they just gorgeous? Can I tell you something? I'm not an expert in plants, but I do know that they pick up vibration, and so do my birds, just like my little finches. And I do too, just like we do too. We pick up vibrations. We pick them up from people we meet. We pick them up from sounds we hear. We pick up songs. It might be a good vibe or not so good vibe or a chaotic vibe. So I put very quiet music on, and I try not to actually, when I'm doing this video, I try not to even have it, too loud. So, because, I don't want it coming through the video, right? Even though it is YouTube music, but I keep it very low. But during the day, so the birds hear calming music, and the other plants here, I only have a few. I only have 3 plants, and I have one in water. So this is the other plant blooming in the middle of sub-zero weather. Is my, I don't know if you can see that. It's the petunia. Can you see it? The sun is kind of suddenly coming in. So, anyway, this plant, like I said, I'm not an expert in growing orchids, but I honestly saw a change in this plant when I started talking to it, and I mean, just in a very gentle, like, I'm gonna water you now, or oh, it kind of do like this, like, oh, you're doing beautifully. I'm not kidding you either. I know they have studies on this. The same with the petunias. I had bought these petunias, 6 of them, and I wanted to celebrate my new neighbors. Anyway, I gave a few of them some of the petunias. One of the neighbors planted their petunias down in the grass. They lasted right until the end of September. And the other one I never saw. I didn't get any update on. This particular one is of those plants, so that you're talking last summer. And I wanted to see, can these petunias last in the house? And my research taught me that not only can they last in the house, but they can last several years. So look how green and beautiful this is. This almost died. I almost lost this petunia, and here it is back and with a beautiful bloom. Sorry, I didn't mean to smack for those of you. So I'm going to put beautiful little Lily. Thank you, Lily. Back over here. So she gets some sun. So I am keeping her warm. And the way I'm doing it is if the day, let's say it's up in the 30s, then I put her on the windowsill and open up the curtains really all the way and the shades all the way up, and let the plants get as much sun as possible. And a day like today, because there may be a little draft coming in, because it is in the single digits, I will leave one curtain down, but I have the shades all the way up, so they're getting as much sun as possible. So with that, the other thing I wanted to share with you this morning is now I gotta tell you, when I have to preface this first, because when I do my artwork and I share my artwork, I'm always talking about inspiration and being inspired and what inspired me. Well, the same thing kind of happens here on Vermont Sun and Shade. So, I don't know if you guys saw this movie. Oh, what? It was on Netflix, and I just happened I watched the old classics pretty much at night after supper. I'll put an old classic on. I just like very calm, easy listening to fun shows. So, and back then, even 40 years ago, 40 years plus, the and I actually I'm starting to talk about these older shows on my other side channel, Mella's Vlog. Just to let you know, you'll hear more about it. But I've only just started to talk about these movies. But a movie that is less relaxing that kind of popped up and really caught my interest was Michael Peterson. So it's a true crime movie. And it caught my interest because it's a very complicated mystery. It can be complicated unless you've made a decision. But in the movie, and I'm not going to ruin it for everybody, it's a well, they have a docu-series, which I haven't completed watching yet because it's difficult to watch. It is very difficult. It's very negative. It's very sad. But I got through the movie of the docu-series, Michael Peterson's, what's it called? Staircase. So if any of you see it, very difficult movie to get through, but the movie is so sensationalized that it's easy to keep watching it. Is probably maybe 6, 7 episodes. Anyway, in the movie, it shows one theory of an owl. I just want to show you this. This is why it's on my mind. I've been making owls. Okay. This is a little owl. It's a little cutesy owl. But I've been making owls, and my family, grandparents actually. So, grandfather was the head of the Order of the Owls, and the Order of the Owls here in Vermont. So some family members would come here a lot. But owls is kind of like if I see an owl, like just a little ceramic owl or something like that, I might buy it because if it's a good price and it's cutesy. So owls, when they had the theory of the owl somehow attacking this woman and taking her life, it really got my interest. So it really got my interest because when they were talking about it, they said owls will attack people if they are in the vicinity of the owl's nest. Now, here in Vermont, we have many barns. We have so many old houses. It doesn't really matter what town you go through. There's probably an old house just sitting unattended to for some time. So, I wanted to look up the general attack of an owl. And I want to see if anybody's been attacked by owls in Vermont. We have here crows attacking an owl. And we have 7 days answered the question of why would an owl attack someone. So we're going to go over that in a moment. But I want to just kind of give you some info on other places where there have been, what AI gives us on where there have been owl attacks. So, and in Vermont. So, owl attacks on humans and pets have been reported in Vermont, particularly involving aggressive barred owls during their nesting season. So, their nesting season is February to March. I would not have guessed that. I would have guessed April, right through the warm months. So it's February, so that starts quite early and sometimes into late spring. These attacks typically occur at dawn, dusk, or night in wooded areas, with owls swooping to strike heads and shoulders to defend their territory or young. So I found it interesting because in the movie, that's exactly what happened. She went out at night and the trees and, they're in a beautiful location. Anyway, so the video, and then there's a video, this is AI. The video explains some people lost their lives to owls. Recent and notable Vermont owl incidents. So I just want to read this to you. So I want to say, you see a lot of people like this, like me, wearing hats a lot in Vermont, even in, spring and summer. And so a lot of the reason is if you've been in Vermont a long time, I'm going to put this like this. You've been in Vermont a long time and you're around woods, a few things are occurring possibly. Ticks, okay, in grassy and wooded areas. Um, bees, okay, bees in the ground so they can, kind of fly up and whatnot. But and just bugs in general like that in Vermont in the warm weather. But also you do sometimes have birds like the killdeer. Of course, that's more near water in the beach type area, but the killdeer will come at you and defend their territory. Now, so anyway, and of course, weather, but these are the just kind of the main reasons I wear hats. And I mean, unless it's super hot, okay, and I'm having a problem with a hat. But recent notable Vermont owl incidents. Red Rocks Park, this is right in South Burlington. A park visitor was struck by a barred owl, prompting warnings to avoid the area during nesting season. I lived right there for over 10 years in that area. Audubon, Vermont. A hiker reported a persistent aggressive owl that attacked them twice in one day, stealing their hat. So they had a hat on. So if you have the hat on, they're going to clutch to the hat, okay? And Burlington Mall, oh, that one I didn't know. 2014, a rare non-native incident involved a European eagle owl attacking a hawk. That I have totally seen. I don't know if it was an eagle owl, but attacking a hawk during a display. I'm going to share something, and I've shared this before we go on. The hawks, the red-tailed hawks in Vermont. Oh, now I had a couple of incidents. One, and I can still see the hawk looking right at me. Came right up on my porch, looked right at me, and stole a pigeon off of the porch that was eating out in front of the porch. The pigeons ran up onto the porch for safety. The hawk came right up, clutched it right in front, looking right at me like, don't you dare move. And I was right there. I was probably not even a couple of feet away from it. Needless to say, I stepped back, closed the deck door, and watched it drag it back into the driveway. The hawk had absolute fierce eyes. Okay, so if they come at you, they're going to, do not mess with them because that is their prey, that is their food. If they have like babies, yeah, somebody was just there. What did you say? A crow went after a hawk? Or a hawk, it would be a hawk going after a crow. It could be vice versa. Crows band together, they're pretty smart. So here, another incident was wildlife interactions. Owls have been known to target pets. I'm going to add to that, red-tailed hawks and hawks in general have too. A 16-week-old puppy was nearly snatched by a large owl in Vermont. I'm sure that's not just one incident. If you have a puppy, these owls are out looking for food very early in the morning and when the sun is going down. They want to get their babies fed. They're going to look for mice. They're going to look for these, other varmints first. But they could mistake a little baby puppy for a rabbit or something. And they're extremely swift. Swift. You're not going to stop them. They got talons like, huge. Safety tips and prevention. Hi there, Turtets. Outdoor cats when I lived rurally. Yes. My cat, she lived to be 17 only for the reason that she got attacked by something. It was not an owl. Something tried to get her. So it was probably something very small because she managed to get home. She was ruffled up, scratched a little bit. I kept a really close eye on her. She just sat on that porch for the next, 12 years. She did not mess around. I'm not kidding you. She sat on the porch. She might walk with us and the dogs when we walked. She stayed close and would come for a walk with us on her own. No leash. She's just the smartest little cat ever. But she learned, and that's how she survived. But yes, they will go after your outdoor cat in a heartbeat. So this says, yeah, wear protective clothing. So wear a hat. So if you're in Vermont, you're coming to Vermont, or get some hats. This one I made, and I get different hats. I have so many hats, but I get them at the thrift shop. If I see a hat that's cute, I get it for $1. So wear a hat or a helmet. Yeah, if you're biking, please wear your helmet. And carry for safety for all of this. And carry an umbrella if walking in known active nesting areas. So an umbrella would totally divert a whole bunch of different things. And I have I don't have it right here, but I have a see-through umbrella. So that's the best if you're going to go walking somewhere. Totally avoid dusk and dawn. And don't walk your animals in dusk or dawn because at the beginning, especially at spring, and like they're saying, even as early as February. Avoid hiking or running in forested areas during high activity times. That means during the nesting times. So the peregrine falcon is another one up here in Vermont. It's was protected for many years. It's now, I think, off of the danger list. But in the Smuggler's Notch or Cambridge, Stowe, Jeffersonville area, there's a lot of peregrine falcons. So those are hawks. Falcons. Be aware, if an owl is spotted nearby, leave the area immediately. So not to put like this fear in you that you need to be, oh, my God, I can't even look at an owl. If an owl is circling above you, they are very big. You're going to know it. Same with an eagle. I've never seen I don't know if there are stories of eagles going after people, but I will tell you a story of an eagle that kind of surprised me a little bit. I was near a lake. I had taken the ferry and I had my tiny little dog. It was about this big. And Theo. He was a tiny little poodle, a little white poodle. And he was older. So when you put him down to walk, he was kind of walking, you know, like like it was difficult for him to walk. Anyway, I put him down and I didn't even see any eagle above me, but I put him down, and from putting him down on the ground and kind of looking up and just kind of looking around and watching him, you know, there was an eagle and he was circling, and I picked my dog up immediately. Guess what? That eagle was still circling, and he was coming lower, and he was thinking about snatching my dog out of my arms. I was waiting for the ferry. So what I had to do is they had a little shelter area. I just went right into it. He could have swooped into the shelter, but typically they won't. They will divert a little bit. So it was probably a mother eagle, and she could tell that dog was old, and he was. He was on, you know. Anyway, yeah. So we have the really big birds in Vermont. You wearing your hat will help significantly. It could save your life, because they'll clutch into the hat and you may just get a scratch. But if they're clutching into your skull, that's it. It could be. So protect your pets. Keep them close. Watch your small dogs and cats, especially at night. So if this says, I just want to read this. I wanted to see what AI says about if you're attacked. Okay, so let me see if we can get some other info. Owl attack, Audubon, Vermont. So let me see what they say here. So here's, I'm just gonna move this over here. Here's an owl, and they're very mystical. They're very beautiful. When you see them and they're sitting and they seem calm, you're kind of like want to look at them, take a picture, and this and that. So, but you got to be careful, because if you're near their nesting area, they could fly right off that roost and decide to attack you. So, um, let me see who's writing this article here. Oh yeah, Vermont Audubon, sorry. So, conservation biologist Margaret Fowle, that's her last name, like Fowle, or maybe it's Foley, it's Fowle, shares a story about the power of wildlife. So she says, I spend a lot of time in the Vermont woods. It is the place that feeds my soul, and so many of us, we feel that, don't we? We feel the energy in the woods, just out in nature. Both, she says, it feeds my soul, professionally and personally, whether it's bushwhacking or remote peregrine cliff, going through the looking for warblers, or exercising with my dogs in daylight. She says moonlight, probably not a good time, but I am happy and comfortable in this environment. I just missed what you said there. Someone, I'm sorry, I missed your text. I am happy and comfortable in the environment. I have a few heart racing encounters in the wildlife, but nothing that has caused me to change my habits. If I have any worries about being out in the woods, they are, yeah, deer ticks. She's what ticks. People worry about ticks. I have bug and tick spray that I automatically Every single day, the minute it's warm, I am spraying my clothes, the bottom of my pants, yeah, and up my shoulder back area. I do not mess around because I don't like those things. They give me absolute willies. Anyway, my sense of compliancy changed recently when I was cross country skiing in fresh powder off Catamount Trail near my house. It was quite sunny. I skied the trail and had been covered with fresh snow. I felt great. So, okay, it wasn't heavy like falling branch, but it wasn't soft like powder falling off a tree limb. I put my hand, she said she suddenly felt something on her head. She goes, I put my hand up on my head to see what it might be, and there were two legs and talons gripping onto my head and hat. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. And she knew it was a barred owl. That's Barred. I have spent a lot of times with barred owls. They were very common. Um, they were a very common patient at the Vermont Institute of Natural Science. Many of us know that as VINS, VINS. Where I worked, rehabilitate. I think they're way south in Vermont. They're they're in southern Vermont, located. I want to say near Woodstock, but we'll look it up in a minute. Where I worked rehabilitating raptors and other birds in the early 1990s. Most often they would come to us either hit by a car or emaciated, something like that was going on where she had to help rehabilitate them. Occasionally, I've had an owl swoop at me when out at dusk or night, but I always felt like the owl was being curious rather than territorial. That's a very dangerous assumption, especially for someone who works with owls. I mean, if they have a nest, how would she know? Barred owls have the reputation of being somewhat tame and unafraid. Okay, so she's kind of going by their general behavior. Having one embedded in my head in the middle of the forest changed my attitude. Okay, so she gained an appreciation for the fact she may not know. Just like with dogs, you got to be careful. There are people who keep their dogs unleashed all the time and they're like, no, my dog is very tame. I am a dog person. I've had dogs my entire life. This is the only time I don't have one because mine passed away and it's just too sad for me right now to get another. But when you have a dog, a couple of things happen. Yes, they can be very tame and beautiful and loyal, but that loyalty, if they sense danger and you do not have them on a leash and they are provoked in some way by a human or another animal, that could be ingredients for chaos. You want to keep your dog on a leash for respect out of other people walking on the street. I saw somebody the other day. It's dog. Now, I do measurements all the time, so I can tell you. The dog's measure came up past my waist area. So it was about 4 feet. Um, so it probably gave another like a foot here. 12, 15. So it was about 4 feet, 3, 4. It was 4.5 feet high. Its back wasn't even. It was like a mastiff. It wasn't on a chain. The uh, owner was a very small person, like maybe 4'10". It's so, and very small. In other words, the dog weighed more than the person, and if it stood up on its hind legs, would have been twice as high as the person. The person wouldn't be able to hold it. Yeah. Well, I kind of walked on the other side. I love animals, and usually they know I love them, but you never know. So I just kind of, out of safety and precaution, just kind of, it wasn't going to the other side, but I decided to divert. as they were coming down the street. And I could tell immediately it wasn't on a chain. To me, that is very poor judgment. And there is a leash law in this state, anyway, in the state of Vermont, in case you don't know. But there's also a law to pick up after your pet, to clean up after your pet. So there's a few policies in the state of Vermont. But anyway, so this woman, so in this story, what is her name again? Fowl? What did we say her name was? Margaret Fowley. Fowley. So she gains an appreciation for the fact that this owl now is talons are in her head. So she goes, I've spent a lot of times with Bard. We went through that. She goes, having one embedded in my head in the middle of the forest changed my attitude. This bird did not want to let go. The more I held onto its legs, the more it dug in. I knew my raptor rehabilitation experience that hawks and owls have a ratchet-like mechanism in their legs and feet. And if their legs are extended straight, their feet automatically open. I tried with all my might to straighten the owl's legs. To straighten, didn't she just say if it's straight that they strengthen? Yeah, she said that owls have a ratchet-like mechanism in their legs and feet. And if their legs are extended straight, their feet automatically open. Oh, in other words, maybe open from the clutch. I tried with all my might to straighten the owl's legs. The minutes, can you imagine? This woman, Margaret Foley, who rehabilitated owls, had minutes of the talons in her head. The minutes I spent doing this felt like forever. I knew that once they did let go, I was going to start bleeding. Finally, the owl let go. I was holding it by the legs in my hand. Now, she's lucky, but she probably knew. I would think if I reached up like this, and I'm grabbing the talon, the legs, that owl, who's probably this high, probably close to 3 feet, would bend over and start pecking my head. Wouldn't you think that would happen? That didn't happen. She's trying to get the legs straight so the talons will open. So at that point, I was afraid. For the first time, I used to work with birds of prey. The pressure through the gloves is immense. Oh my God, can you imagine? I mean, you know what I'm thinking? The finches that I have are so ridiculously just delicate. Like, they don't do anything like that, right? A parakeet that I had years ago, I'm thinking of the parakeet. That parakeet grabbed onto me and grabbed his beak, grabbed my finger. That's why I don't have a parakeet. Sorry. I mean, maybe they're not all like that, I'm sure. But its claws were like in. I'm just thinking of a tiny little bird like that. Can you imagine? Yeah. An owl? Lord. So she says, this owl did not. She goes, I was afraid and felt overpowered by this wild creature. Ooh, macaws. Yeah, and they're intelligent, aren't they? Like super smart. So they can strategize, like they can look at you and strategize like where they're gonna like grab you. A macaw. I often thought of getting a macaw to rehabilitate and gorge. Yeah, exactly for that reason. Shadow and Turtson. I thought I'm gonna get a macaw. I want to tell people I want to. Oh, they are smart like toddlers. Yeah. And that's the reason I wanted to get one, like to rehabilitate and help because they're so pretty and smart. And the older now that I am, I realized, which is why I went with the finches, I realized if it did grab onto me, I probably wouldn't be able to get it off. You know what I mean? Maybe if I was 20 years younger, but like my shoulder every now and then hurts. As it is. Can you imagine? Imagine having a macaw climb on me too. So she goes on to say that yeah, they are. I mean, and they're expensive. They're expensive, which is why I never went and just I could have bought one from a baby, but they're like what? Like 5,000, $10,000 some of these macaws, at least 5. I was looking at the prices. Some of the rescued macaws are like 2,000, but you've got to be able to talk to them like a lot and bring them with you in the warm summer months when you go out, maybe their little chain on them, but and yeah, and then there's a liability, right? If they go after people, you got to be awful careful. So, but this woman says, I was afraid and overpowered by this wild creature, the barred owl, despite how small and light this owl was compared to me. She's saying that the owl was small. I don't think an owl, well, unless she's talking, I was thinking a barred owl is at least this big, isn't it? She must be, maybe it was this big. Maybe it was a tiny one. We're going to look up how big they are. And yeah, the Panama, Florida, the tropicals, right? Tropics, where the macaws are. The rainforest. Yeah, the rainforest, Panama. Okay. Oh my God, so interesting. So this owl did not want me in its territory, and I was trying to get out of the area, and it kept reminding me that I was in that area. Finally, just before she reached the field, the bird flew at me one more time and took my hat, my Audubon hat, ironically. That's why we wear hats in Vermont. They are light, just wingspan. That really is overwhelming, and the size of the Italians. So, okay, so let's just divert for a moment. Um, how big is I just thought they were not big. Oh, they were big. I'm thinking of a snowy white. I used to have an owl watch me um, in my old house. I had to give my house back here in Vermont. After 20 years, I couldn't afford it. This owl used to watch me from the tree into the kitchen. These barred owls are typically 16 to 25 inches in length. That's almost 2 feet. With a 40 to 50 inch wingspan, as you were just saying, so that's over 3 to 4 feet. Oh gosh, only 2.5 pounds? So yeah, about this, that's big. To me, that's not, yeah, that's crazy. So let's see. Oops, where my, here it is. You have, okay, so Turtston is saying they have a great horned owl in their backyard. So, let's look at what that looks like. What state are you in? Vermont? Great horned owl. In what state? Let's get an image of in general. This, yeah, this is the owl I think that was looking at me from the tree into the kitchen. This is a great horned. New York. Oh, hey, New York. Love, love, love New York. That's where I was taking the ferry. That's the great horned owl. So you know what I saw in New York? Not to divert too much, but this is super, super interesting. First of all, eagles all over the place. When you get off the ferry in I can't think of where it is, Essex. Essex, New York, northern part of New York. Um, so you can take your car on the ferry. So I had taken my car on the ferry driving up towards Plattsburgh. I saw a wolf that crossed right in front of my car, walked across the street. It didn't run, it wasn't skittish. Oh, let me show you the wolf that I saw. Let's see if they even have it here. It was the scariest thing in all God that I have ever seen. It was not like my Siberian Husky slash Malamute. This was the scariest thing I ever seen. Let me see. Wolf in New York, um, upper state. Let's see if we can find it. This is not the wolf I saw, guys. Look, look. This is typically, they're saying this is what my dog looked like. Shadow. This is not what I saw. I can't even describe what I saw. It was so scary, guys. So scary. I can't even find a picture of it. Its head was absolutely huge. This was not a bear. It was very high, legs very long. This thing, I'm telling you why I remember it. It walked across the street and I had slowed down as I'm driving up. And I looked at it and it turned its head when it went up the bank and it looked at me. Its head, it had fangs, and its ears were straight up. It looked like a dog, but it wasn't a dog. It was the scariest thing I ever saw. Let's see here if we can just look one more time. I'm just going to say scary wolf in New York, see if it comes up. Maybe someone else saw it, has seen these. No, that's not it. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't know what I saw because it was the scariest thing I ever saw. No, none of these. It had like a square, like a bear, but it wasn't a bear. Anyway, uh, I am an artist. I will draw a picture of it and I will come back on here for the New Yorkers because I saw this in New York. I love New York, the city. My mom had lived there and I love, love, love New York. I was there for a little while. But anyway, here we are in Vermont. Okay. Um, so finally, so she says, finally, just before I reached the field, the bird flew. So she got it off apparently, and then it flies at her again. And it flew to a perch and seemed satisfied enough. I will do that, Turkston. Yes, I will do that because I can remember it very clearly to this day. And I remember it scared the life out of me. It reminded me of a demon. It had fangs. And I just never saw anything like it. I never want to see anything like it again. But so she says it flew to the perch. This is the barred owl that attacked her. Margaret Foley attacked Margaret Foley and seemed satisfied enough with my hat that I could ski out into the field and make my way home. Oh, she wasn't even near her house. Fortunately, my family was there to help determine whether I needed stitches, and she says no. Wow. It sounds like that was in her head there for some time. I know that birds do not contract rabies, so other than being prescribed antibiotics as a safety measure, I did not need immediate medical attention. Can I say something? I'm going to read something after this. If you get attacked by a barred owl, a falcon, a hawk, a crow, I can't see a crow coming after anyone, but you never know, or an eagle, any of these, and you're like, oh, gee, it just kind of dug in a little, I'm fine. No, 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 no. I did some research on this. The bacteria can very quickly cause infection. You definitely want to get to your doctor, even if you've cleaned it out. So you want to get to a doctor and get those antibiotics. February and March is breeding season for the owls in Vermont. They are established territories, finding mates, and locating a nest size, which is typically a large cavity in a tree. Yeah, right? Right, Turdston. Yes, you want to get medical attention. The other thing going on, I have seen this in front of my own face. Our wildlife, I've seen it with a great blue heron, even the Fisher King. I saw Kingfisher or whatever that bird is. I saw him up near the side of the road. These birds are losing territory every time they're coming in and still building apartments. These apartments are 2,000-3,000 a month. I don't get it. I don't understand it, because fields and fields, and you see this, for those of you who know Vermont, you see it in South Burlington, Vermont, and actually, that there was an owl attack there that I read earlier in South Burlington at Red Rock Park. Okay, I know people have gone there all the time with their dogs. And the wetlands, yes. They are just, and over in Williston area, and I don't know what's going on down in Burlington. I'll have to check it out, bring you with me. We'll be heading to Burlington when it gets a little warmer. Okay, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on down in Burlington. But these wildlife, and of course, we have a homelessness issue, human beings in Vermont not having homes. But you have the human beings not having homes, you have the pets, not the wildlife not having homes. So the risk for incidents going up. So, but yeah, so these birds in February, so they're nesting, they're looking for a mate, all of this stuff. So maybe one, and she does say, the behavior is triggered by hormonal changes as well as environmental changes, and like the increase in daylight, and that's already occurred. We have daylight kind of going, at least I notice, not really light, but going close to 5 o'clock. Given the size of the area this owl appeared to be defending, I wonder if they have a mate and nest site yet. Maybe once it does, the territory boundaries will be a bit smaller. I also wonder if there's a lot of owls in the woods near my house this year. Increasing competition, which is just what I'm talking about, for space and nest sites could explain why this bird was so aggressive. I guess we'll never know. Well, we could know. She could know. She could do, especially with her experience in education, maybe do a kind of see in the past 10 years what buildings have gone up around her area, because that would say that they lost that space, living space for the owls. So she goes, what I do know is what I do know is that I will keep going out in the woods, but I will respect the owl's territorial boundaries and avoid the area as much as possible. All of us need to recognize and respect the needs of the wild. Yes. But if you know you're in an owl territory. So if you know, stay out of it. For example, the peregrine falcons up there in the notch, they do keep the notch closed. But you need to stay at a distance from these birds because they're nesting up there through the notch. They'll keep the notch closed until spring, but that's when they're nesting. Yeah, so you got to be careful. Okay, so let me get rid of that article. That article again was by Audubon Vermont. So check out the site. We'll come back to this site And this is, for those of you who don't know, this does look a little small, but this is a picture of a barred owl. Just so you know, for those of you, this is the owl we were talking about. So the beak, there's the beak, so that curves pretty significantly. But like Turkson was saying, the wingspan and the claws are significant on this bird. So we're going to go out of here, and we went over the attacks that have occurred in Vermont. And now I just wanted to very quickly add one more thing to this video. I wanted to know, and apparently we just learned in the article, are the talions poisonous? But this is what it says. AI. Owl talions are not venomous or poisonous, but they are extremely dangerous due to the high risk of severe infection from bacteria, such as Streptococcus, and the potential for deep punctured wounds. These wounds can cause significant blood loss. So if that woman that we were just reading in the Audubon article, Margaret Foley, if she was any farther from home, let's say, or any of those cuts that she got were any deeper, she could have gotten dizzy and maybe not made it home. So, yeah, definitely always wear a hat. I'm just saying it will divert from issues like this. So the potential deep puncture wounds. These wounds can cause significant blood loss and get infected. And you got to figure owls are out there grabbing rodents, with Italians, okay? So bacteria risk. Owl talions frequently harbor harmful bacteria. Oh yeah, right, because of their diet. That's just what we were talking about, which can lead to rapid severe infection if they break the skin. Physical damage. Owl talions are razor sharp, designed for hunting, and can exert intense pressure capable of causing deep bleeding wounds or severe blunt force trauma. That's what got my interest in that movie Staircase, because they bring this up as a potential theory as to, because a woman, and this is based on true story, had lost her life close to where that woman was who lost her life. But anyway, disease transmission. While rare, owls can carry bacteria like Mycobacterium avium or chlamydiosis, which can be transmitted to humans. So, okay, fatalities. Though rare, it's rare that you get attacked by. An owl doesn't want to attack you. No wildlife wants to attack you. They want to go the other way. But they are running out of space. That is absolutely a fact. And if they're trying to breed or they're trying to mate, they will defend the territory. They're hormonal. So that's what's may occur. So, though rare, attacks can be lethal to humans due to blood loss or severe injury, with documented cases of owl attacks resulting in fatal injuries. So if you're attacked, ooh, listen to this, guys. I keep thinking I'm going to end this and then I see something else. An owl attack can be dangerous for these reasons. Okay, risk of infection, and they're talking rapid. I mean, puncture wounds from an attack can lead to rapid, severe infections if not cleaned immediately. So I'm going to say this. They're saying it's not venomous and it's not poisonous. But let's say you're out up on Madonna ski slope. You're way up there, let's say, and you get attacked, okay? Or you're cross country skiing up there. It's going to take you a little while to get back. They're not saying a couple of hours, but they're saying rapid severe infections if not cleaned immediately. So that's telling me within several hours it could be start becoming infected. So to me, that's synonymous to getting poisoned. In other words, that's serious. Mechanical damage. Owls possess incredible gripping strength, with some species exerting up to 500 pounds of pressure per square inch. You'd pass out. That woman's lucky she didn't pass out. Their talents, she was experienced though, too. So she kind of knew what was going on. Somebody like me, I'm walking in the woods and I feel something up on my head and I'm trying to get it off. And I can't, it might make me dizzy sooner than later and I fall to the ground. I'm just saying. The talons are sharp enough to cause deep lacerations, puncture wounds, and even nerve damage. Diseases. While owls can carry zoonotic diseases like such as uh, I'm going to say psittacosis and microbacterium. We talked about this before. These are typically contracted through contact with feces or air rather than Italian strike. But yeah, if the owl just went after a rat or a mouse or something. So anyway, yeah, clean the wound and look for signs of redness and swelling or heat. Well, like I said, and like one of the viewers, Turtston, said, just get medical attention immediately also. Okay, so with that, let's get out of there. And we already went through why an owl would attack someone, but 7 days, let's see if 7 days is giving us any other info at all. So here's another really good picture of a barred owl, guys. For those of you scrolling, we're talking about barred owl and people actually who have gotten attacked by them. And in the state of Vermont, you do need to stay away from their nesting area because that can be the result. So in 7 days, this was in 2021. This article is by Allison Novak. It says on Sunday morning in October, she was frying eggs in the kitchen, and she got a phone call that made me drop everything. She goes, it says, I was attacked by an owl. It was her husband saying he was attacked by an owl. He was calling from Shelburne Farms. That's not too far. I mean, Shelburne Farms is a hop and a skip from South Burlington. It's like one exit. And where he and his friend Eric have been taking weekly pre-dawn walks. Oh, they were taking weekly pre-dawn walks since the pandemic started. After assuring me that he was okay, except for a couple of scratches on his forehead, Jeff explained what had happened. Okay. As he and Eric went to a popular lookout point, Lone Tree Hill, and headed down a moonlit path flanked by the woods, they spotted a big owl about 8 feet away on a tree branch. They turned to walk away, and all of a sudden, he felt a smashing into his head. They're walking away, people. Away from the owl. Yeah. They pay attention and can recognize people frequently. Oh my God. So Turtston, I don't know if I'm saying your handle right. Turtston just shared with us, because this handler has worked with birds that, because this was a regular route, this is something they did on a regular basis. Yes, I can tell you, I know that the crows, when I used to walk my little Sophia, there was one crow in particular. She had her eye on us. And little Sophia got to the point where she looked up and she got to know that crow. The crow knew us. I don't know why it was following us, but it would follow us. And we were going around like the reservoir and around like the plaza area. I mean, it was open space, buildings, so I don't know, but it was, you're right. So Turkson is saying that this owl targeted them, like planned it. Yes, turt's like turtle. And all the birds will learn the pattern of those animals, including human. Oh, it is so interesting. I wish I studied animals more in my life. Oh my God, that's so interesting, but so scary. But you know what, people? On my other channel, I do Eco Art with Carmela T. We're creating with all recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies to give our earth a little hug. Our wildlife needs our earth clean. They need space, okay? They're watching us. They are watching us. It's very interesting. And the intelligence to be able to do that. So when Jeff got attacked, disoriented with his peripheral vision blocked by the sweatshirt hood, Jeff asked Eric whether he had hit him by accident. Eric told him the owl was the culprit. Thoroughly freaked out, the men took off down the path. Not to regard in birds or language behavior, I could remember. Yeah, share with us what they are. Maybe they're on YouTube too. I could do some research. You know, I was going to do research on that also in the way of plants responding and understanding certain vibes that people give off. Yeah. But animals, you got to figure, they're watching you. They have got to be learning from generation to generation certain things also that I know crows will mimic your voice very quickly. They will sometimes mimic hikers. Let's say these two are going for the walk and he says Eric. You could walk a mile and hear Eric, Eric, and it sounds like a human being. It's the crow, and they're purposely doing it, and they follow you and watch you. It's very interesting. So owls are fierce predators, but since when do they attack humans? Curious to know how frequent such encounters are in Vermont, I emailed Kat Parrish, Shelburne Farms family program coordinator and farm-based educator. She told me that I wanted to be an educator at Shelburne Farms, and I still do. Maybe I'll put in for that again, but maybe in the museum part, not out in the woods. She told me that the nonprofit estate is home to an array of owl species, including the barred owl, the eastern scratch owl, the northern saw-whet owl, the great horned owl. And she put me in touch with Craig Newman. He's the director of Outreach for Earth Stewardship, a raptor rehabilitation and wildlife education nonprofit headquartered at Shelburne Farms. He maintains an aviary of 12 birds there, including some owls that can't be released back into the wild because they have permanent injury. When I recounted, though, when I hear that, I get that to a point. But when you look at Shelburne Farms, for example, if you let an injured, and you tell me, Turdston, if you're still out there, but if you let an injured owl or an owl that might have some little impediment out and around that, it seems like it would be harmless. In fact, if they have the ponds are full of little maybe whatever they're full of, otters and frogs and things that the owls can eat. You would think that the owl, maybe it couldn't defend itself from another owl, is what they'd be worried about. But when I recounted my husband's experience, Newman chuckled and he said he hears about this kind of thing a couple of times a season, and that it happens not just at Shelburne Farms, but also at other recreational areas. Red Rocks Park in South Burlington, which is very close to Shelburne Farms. I mean, it's close. It's like 15 minutes. It's but one exit and then up the strip. And Indian Rock Park in Essex. Officials have even posted warning signs about owls on occasion. Owl dive bombs are more likely to occur during the spring breeding season, when the birds are trying to protect their nest. Other things might cause an owl to swoop. For instance, it might confuse a tassel or pom-pom on a winter hat with some bushy little squirrel tail. That is an absolute fact. And move in for the kill, absolutely. But for the most part, I think it's just territorial. They're just saying, hey, you're a little too close where my babies are. Don't get too close. Newman speculated that the owl her husband encountered was a great horned or barred owl, two of the larger species. The barred owl is most active just before sunrise or early evening. So Newman tracked with timing of the run in. Oh, yeah, because they were going out. What was it, dawn or dusk or something? Newman had been on the receiving side of a couple of multiple attacks. One owl that lives in the aviary, he said, had taken his headlight, took his headlight, two hats and a piece of his ear. Oh my lord. The latter incident on the ambush that happened that evening, he was making a beeline to the side of his face. I just grabbed him. You're right, Turdston. This particular owl totally targeted them. Um, because that night he was going after his face. Yeah. On the bright side, owls don't carry rabies or other diseases that might be transmitted. Okay. So anyway, that is an article that article is in the 7 Days in 2021. What's the name here? Allison Novak. And it's called Why Would an Owl Attack Someone? So anyway, I hope that gives you a really good idea, guys. Again, if you're in Vermont, barred owls are medium to large, and they are about 16 to 25 inches in length, 40 to 50 inches in wingspan, as Turdston was saying, very large. Their weight is a pound to 2.5 pounds, and they have a round head, no ear tufts, and dark brown eyes. So, oh, let me show you something. This isn't my art, but let me just show you this. I made this yesterday. This is an art piece I'm going to show in my class tomorrow, actually, and guess what it is? Guess what it is? I'm showing my class mixed media art. So I didn't show it even yet over on Echo Art with Carmela T, but it's definitely a barred owl. I didn't even realize it till right now. So, thank you. So with that, everyone, yeah, be safe. And we have lots and lots of very interesting information to cover here for spring and summer in Vermont on our wildlife and what you need to look out for. And if you're going through Vermont and you love the woods or near, the fields, or you like to walk along the river and, you just like to be out in the open, get a hat. Get a hat, because it sounds like some of these people were totally saved by having a hat. It could have been worse, apparently. So, with that, you have an absolutely beautiful day. Thank you so much for being with me. I send you love and light, and I'll see you in the next one.